with Dale Brilley from Mercury Wealth Management, who I'll introduce you to in a moment. We've just completed the section on Go Dare, which is the template that you will need to create your own financial plan. But there's a little bit missing. Dale will help us with this. Hi Dale, how are you?
Good, thanks Kerry, how are you?
Dale's going to be spending a little time with us in the early part of the series. Dale's, as you can see, is young and vibrant, and his view will probably be accepted quite happily by you all. As a younger advisor, you started as a paraplanner.
Yeah, that's correct.
What is a paraplanner?
Basically, it's the step before becoming a financial planner, so it's involved in regards to creating the financial plans for clients after the advisor has actually sat down and discussed what the clients are looking for in regards to their goals, objectives, and basically what their financial plan needs to look like at the end result.
Okay, and in producing a compliant financial plan for a client, what in your view is the most important concept?
Well, to begin with, you need to be able to document what you're actually looking for, because most people that come into an office for a financial planner have never documented what they're looking for and what they're actually, where they want to go with their goals, objectives, and where they want to end up, be it in retirement or even just in the next 1 to 2 years.
Okay, you were trained by a good person and you're familiar with the concept of Go Dare, which is goals and cash flow, debt management, accumulation plans, risk and estate planning. Is that the sort of thing that is encompassed in producing a plan? Are these things important, and why?
Well, it definitely is. What the advisor, or what now myself, actually go through is what's called a fact finder, and it actually goes through those segments. Obviously, we need to take down the initial details of a client, their age, their dates of birth, where they live, and if they've got any children. That does come into effect for the risk area of side of things, which we'll talk about a bit later. But it goes through the whole process, initially with your goals, your objectives, then your cash flow, going through to your debt, your accumulation, then obviously the retirement or the risk issues, and then your estate planning, which obviously comes to the end of the process.
Okay, so if our viewers wanted to produce their own wealth plan, in your view, is it important for them to document where they are?
Oh, extremely important. Just to use myself as an example, I went through the process 7 or 8 years ago and documented it. I started with my goals and objectives, which is where we usually concentrate with a client. Mine was to save for a house deposit. So with a client, you need to sit down and work out where their goals and objectives are, because most people, quite frankly, don't have an objective of where they want to go to, so they never really seem to achieve what they're after because they've never actually written it down and put it on a bit of paper so they can look at it each day to see what they want to achieve and how they're going to get there.
So Dale, if the viewers wanted to create their own wealth plan, how important would it be for them to record where they are right now, in your view?
Well, it's the basic starting point of any financial plan. You actually need to know where you actually are now, so then you can work out how you're actually going to get to where you want to be. So writing down basic goals, and in particular, most people know what they're earning, but they actually don't actually have an understanding of what they're spending their money on, so that's a good place to start. Yep. A financial planner could sit down with you and actually discuss what your budget is, and most people, to be blunt, don't have a budget in this day and age.
It's interesting that the first two things you've nominated are the goals of Go and the outs and ins, which is budget, because they're incredibly important. Budget, though, is a tool, isn't it? Because really, aren't we actually after true cash management?
Yeah, we're after cash flow and cash management, but the tool to get there is obviously the budget, where you start from. As I said, people don't really know where their money's going to, so you don't actually have a cash flow system you can actually operate on or put in place until you know where that money's going.
Which is why it's important that they actually record where they are.
Yeah, and you'll be surprised, even just buying a coffee a day or things like that, how that adds up throughout the whole year. And by recording that, you actually can sit back, take stock of where you're at and where your money's going, and then really go forward from there.
Well, look, Dale, we're going to be asking you about that in a later show. What else do the people need to record? So creating their wealth plan, they're buying the concept, shall we say, about creating their own wealth plan. We've spoken that they need to record goals and they need to know where their money is going. What else do they need to record?
Well, another important area is the debt. A lot of people might just consider the family home or the home mortgage as their only debt, but a lot of people in this day and age, again, have credit card debt or personal loans, and you need to assess what you're actually spending that money on. So you might not need the credit cards going forward. Also what the interest rates or what your repayments are on the debts you've got at the moment, because if you haven't recorded that, you might be paying off the wrong debt at the wrong time, and you might be paying the wrong debt first rather than that should be paid last because it's got that lower interest rate.
So you're saying if you capture this information, you begin to understand it?
Well, personally, unless you know and put that down on paper what you've got and where your current situation is, and debt's a perfect example. People are worrying about their expenses but also their debt situation. But putting it on a bit of paper and being able to understand where you're at, it really does help you going forward.
Okay, and in terms of all the accumulation plans and where you have money, what risk insurances you have, are these important things to record as well?
Yeah, and they all actually link, because if you talk to people about their accumulation ideas, they actually believe that the family home's the only accumulation area that they've got, which is usually typically the case, but some people do have investments, be it shares, managed funds or property, but also going forward with mandated superannuation, that's an accumulation asset which every working Australian now has, and will be the biggest one going forward for people now that it's mandated at 9%, but actually increasing now if the government changes going forward. So it's important to do. And then flowing on from super is the risk side of things. A lot of people understand and believe they have enough risk or life insurance inside the super fund, which actually isn't the case. When you actually sit down and assess, well, if you've got dependent children, how long they're going to need to be dependent for, what their education costs, you'll be surprised that when you sit down and see that you're probably underinsured or don't have enough insurance at the moment, but the issue is that most people believe they have enough in super when you actually ask them.
And some thoughts about where the money would go if something happened to you, I guess.
Well, exactly, and that's, as you can see, they're all linking together, because if you've got that insurance in place or you've got the super growing at a particular time, you want that to be passed on to the correct beneficiaries or the correct people you want to receive your money. And also, if you can avoid obviously tax or the consequences in regards to that, you need to get your estate planning or your will or all those items linked together, the powers of attorney. And that's how, as you can see, the whole process links together from one where it starts at goals and it finishes obviously when the unfortunate thing happens when you pass away.
Thank you very much, Dale.
No problem, Kerry.
Dale is here on the show to help us understand that we need to record where we are now so that we can understand the situation we're currently in and we can see progress through to our ultimate goal. But in doing that, Dale's also underscored the need to plan in terms of the Go Dare concept. So thank you very much, Dale. We'll be seeing you again, and thank you very much for watching the show. Don't forget our competition. Please go to the website and sign up for our 100 Goal Challenge. Prizes are being generously awarded by AIA Australia, who are giving a free risk assessment away every week, and 2 iPads to be won throughout the series. And also Keith Abraham, who's donated his book about finding your passion. Go to the website wealthplan.tv. Thank you for joining us on Wealth Plan TV. I hope you found this episode entertaining. Next week, we'll be talking about goals.